Hello and welcome, viewer, to Rolling Solo. I am the solo roller, and in this episode, we're going to continue character creation and wrap it off with some world building facts, relationships, and pivotal moments in our character's life. I hope you enjoy this one.
Okay, so with that, we have world creation. Moving on, we get to group creation, and this is, of course, a thing that happens in a normal group. You would choose the type of group, the type of adventuring party that you want to play as, that you want to play in a normal, traditional RPG with multiple people, of course. But since this is a solo experience, I'm just going to go ahead and pick a group, and that group is Guardians. One of the player characters is a chosen one, and that fits, I think, perfectly with what I'm doing. Since I'm going to be playing with one character, that character is, of course, the quote-unquote chosen one, and that person, a person tasked with a mission that could change the very fate of the world. Perfect. That's dead on, and fits super well. I'm gonna make a note of that here in his name. We don't have his name yet, but we will just in a sec. But I'm gonna jot that down here. Okay, so that's it for the group creation. Next, we move on to character creation proper. Just like with world creation, there's a step-by-step process. Characters are normally created at level 5, and that's exactly what we'll do. So, first of all, we create the character identity, a short sentence that briefly summarizes how they see themselves at the moment. This is not your class. This is just a thematic identity that helps put an image in your head when you think of this character. Because I want to embrace anime tropes and themes and such, I think hopeful adventurer and really encapsulates the theme well. So I think I'm going to go with that. Identity is hopeful adventurer. I have an idea for what I want the character to be. So I'm going to kind of, with some of the choices presented in character creation, I'm going to kind of mold it to that. If there's a lot of random, really cool, useful tables to roll on. But for a lot of the process, I'm just going to go with what feels right and what fits my idea of what I want what character I want to play the most. And with that done, that'll bring us to theme. Each character in Fabula Ultima is defined by a primary theme, a strong ideal or emotion driving their actions and choices. Basically, how this works is we pick a word, singular word that encapsulates what our character is all about, the theme for our character. Luckily for me, one of the suggested themes in the book is hope. You seek a better world for yourself and or others, so that fits perfect. Hopeful adventurer. In fact, I'm going to amend the identity. I'm going to say brave and hopeful adventurer. I think that fits a little better. A very almost generic anime protagonist, but that's perfect for what we're doing here. And the theme is, of course, hope. He's a very, as said, brave and hopeful adventurer. Any themes around hope would fit perfectly. Next up is origin. All heroes come from somewhere. This is their origin. And I'm actually going to go with a classic. He's from a small village. He's from a small farming village, probably 100, 200 inhabitants. And that's where he grew up. We don't know how he came to the life of adventuring yet, but I suspect it's some sort of event that made him do that. Okay, so with that out of the way, we get into the real meat of the character, I guess. Classes. We choose 2 to 3 starting classes. The character begins at level 5. We have 5 levels to distribute among the 15 available classes in Fabula Ultima. We have to have at least 2 classes, no more than 3. I'm going to go with 2 just to keep things simple. And I've looked at them ahead of time, of course. And I think for my idea for this character, I think Guardian and Weapon Master kind of play pretty well together. So Guardian is all basically what it sounds like. It's all about protecting allies, and you fight in heavy armor and stuff. Then Weapon Master is you excel at melee combat and countering melee attacks. You're a Weapon Master, of course. You're good at melee combat. Okay, so since we have 5 levels to divvy up, our total character level is 5. This Guardian, I'm gonna give us 2 levels in Guardian and 3 levels in Weapon Master. And each class, when you acquire it, gives you some benefits, so we're gonna go ahead and look at that. So the free benefits for Guardian are I permanently increase my max HP by 5. So I'm gonna just jot that down here. Max HP plus 5. And the other benefit is that this character gains the ability to equip martial armor and martial shields. Perfect. Moving on to Weapon Master. The benefits for Weapon Master are, again, permanently increase HP by 5. And the second one is we get the ability to equip martial melee weapons and again martial shields. That stacks. I don't think it gives you any additional benefit, but now we can use martial armor, shields, and weapons. Melee weapons, of course. When you gain levels in a class, you get to choose a skill from that class. Since we have 5 levels to divvy up, we've gained 2 levels in Guardian, 3 in Weapon Master. We get 2 skills from Guardian and 3 skills from Weapon Master. So since we put 2 levels into Guardian, we get 2 skills from the Guardian skill list. What I've chosen here is Defensive Mastery at skill level 1. That gives us a damage reduction of 1 to all damage that we take. And I've also chosen Fortress at skill level 1. That gives us max HP equal to 3 times the skill level. So skill level 1 times 3 more HP. Gives us a bit more survivability, especially since we're playing solo. I think that'll work out in the end. So this is what I chose for our Weapon Master skills. I took Counterattack at level 1. After an enemy hits or misses you with a melee attack, if the result of their accuracy check was an even number, we basically get to counterattack for free. Then the second skill, I took 2 skill levels in Melee Weapon Mastery, which gives us +2 to accuracy checks with melee weapons, thus making it easier for us to land a hit on whatever we're attacking. Next up, we determine the base die size of our attributes. This is just our base attributes up at the top right there. Attributes in Fabula Ultima are represented with die sizes ranging from D6 at a minimum to a maximum of D12. Bigger die sizes, of course, represent a higher potential with that, whatever attribute that may be. Fabula Ultima gives us some profiles to choose from, so I'm going to go ahead and take the average profile, which gives us a D10, 2 D8s, and a D6 to allocate as we see fit. I think our character has a lot of willpower, so I'm going to go ahead and make his willpower a D10. Then, I think he's a very martial type of character, I think, given his classes. So I'm gonna make his dexterity a D8. And I think I'm gonna make his might a D8 as well. That leaves us with a D6 in insight. He's not particularly insightful, but I think his willpower and martial prowess hopefully will make up for that. I think that encapsulates the standard clueless but very hopeful protagonist pretty well. Next, we calculate our hit points and mind points. So it actually tells us on the sheet here. HP is equal to might times 5, so 8 times 5, 40, plus level, 45, plus anything else. And then our skills and classes give us even more. So +5, +5, and then +3. So that's 13 on top of our 45. So we have a total of 58 HP. And Crisis is equal to half rounded down. So Crisis would be equal to 29. And of course, current being max 58. MP, mind points, are similar. They're equal to willpower times 5 plus level plus whatever else. So willpower is D10 times 5, 50 plus level 55. Current, of course, being 55 as well. IP, or inventory points, starts at 6. Plus if you get any bonuses, but we don't at the moment, so 6, and current, of course, is 6. Next, we calculate some derived attributes. Our initiative modifier, currently equal to 0. Our defense is equal to our current dexterity die, and that's a D8. And then our magic defense is insight D6. So our character is more vulnerable to magical types of attacks, but hopefully he doesn't get hit by that kind of stuff. Okay, so next we purchase starting equipment. I've gone ahead and purchased it already. I gave our character a bronze breastplate, basically. I'm gonna go ahead and amend that. A bronze breastplate gives us a static defense of 11, sets our magic defense to whatever our insight die size is, and gives us a -3 modifier to our initiative, just because it's heavier armor. I bought a longsword that we roll Dex plus Might to attack, and then our damage is +6, whatever. When we get into combat, I'll try to explain that a little more, but it's our high roll +6. One-handed, it's a melee weapon with no special qualities to it. And then I gave him a shield. Just a simple round shield for just to be able to better defend himself. That makes our defense +2. So decently high defense, physical against physical attacks, and then magical defense is a little below average, I guess. But that's okay. We'll deal with the blows as they come, so to speak. Next, we roll 2d6 times 10 to determine our initial savings, how much money the character starts the game with. Oh, max roll. Very good. So 120 Zenit, which is the currency that Fabula Ultima uses. And finally, last but not least, name and finishing touches, of course. I had a name in mind, but I saw one in the Fabula Ultima book, and I thought that was perfect. And that name is Mont Blanc. French sounding, I think it is French. And yeah, it just fits perfectly. Pronouns, of course, he, him. Then we generate Fabula points. At the start of the game, you just start with 3. Fabula points are this system's version of what some would call fate points, or similar things in other systems. Basically, they just let you reroll dice, or adding numbers to a check to give you a leg up. One thing I didn't touch on was bonds. These are basically relationships that the character establishes. Sometimes you can have bonds at the start, but I think I want to see how things play out, and if our character develops any relationships or bonds, then I'll go ahead and add them to the sheet here. And so with that, we wrap up our character creation. We have Mont Blanc, a guardian weapon master. He's good with melee weapons, but a little vulnerable when it comes to magic. Maybe he doesn't understand it as much. Maybe it's something he's just never come up against. But I'm sure he will in the coming experience. And that's that for character creation. We have our anime protagonist, Mont Blanc, who is from a small farming village on the edges of this kingdom, the kingdom of Eprinay. I think I want our character to have some sort of tragic event, some sort of event that happened in his past, I definitely want him to have clear motivations and goals starting out. So I want there to be some sort of defining moment for him, something that made him want to leave the village and go adventuring. Whatever that might be, we'll figure that one out. And in addition to that, we know the MC is a hopeful character, and in addition to that, I think he has like good moral values. He's a kind of a goody two shoes type of guy. Tries to do the right thing whenever possible. And I think that gives us a really good idea of who Mont Blanc is as a person and what kind of quests and what kind of missions he sets out to do. I think Mont Blanc searches for quests where he can help the most people, where he can be of most aid. Maybe if there's a particular monster that's plaguing an area, he'll even if he's not necessarily ready to take on that level of danger, he'll make the attempt anyway, just out of a desire to help anyone who might need it. So let's generate some sort of event that happened in his past, some sort of motivation that made him want to leave the village and go adventuring. Maybe something happened to the village. Well, we'll find out. Let's roll. Let's ask Mythic. Let's roll on motivations. Character motivations table. Why did he leave the village? Okay, conflict, cool. That's a 11 and an 85. Conflict reveal. Revelation of conflict. Yeah, that's cool. That's good. Revelation of conflict. This is why Mont Blanc left his village. Conflict revelation. Reveal conflict. Okay, yeah. So he was kind of sheltered, maybe. He just kind of didn't know. Growing up, he didn't know about the dangers of the world. Okay, yeah, I like that. Conflict was revealed to him. The general conflict of the world, the dangers of the world. He was exposed to how dangerous it can be outside the boundaries of his village. Okay, that's cool. So I think a defining moment in his past when he was, let's say, late childhood, early teens, that sort of thing. Something happened in the village that brought the danger of the real world into the village. Yeah, that's perfect. What happened in Mont Blanc's village? What made him realize that the world is bigger than just this little bubble he's been living in? I'm gonna go ahead and roll on descriptions and see if we can think of anything. Okay, 14, ceaselessly. 61, ceaselessly messy. Ceaselessly messy. I'm gonna roll on actions and see if we can think of anything. 14, block. 73, block portal. Block portal. Block. Okay, yeah. I think there was maybe one primary road in and out of his village. Yeah. Blocking portal. The portal to the world. Okay, so there was one primary road that led in and out of his village. Something was blocking it. What comes to mind is maybe some sort of government action. No. Bandits, maybe? Oh, no. What if a monster set up shop on that road? On that road leading out of town? What if there was some sort of creature that started preying on people going out in and out of town, thus blocking traffic in and out of town? People started disappearing, maybe. Yeah, some sort of thing was preying on people coming in and out of town. I don't think it was the Twin Cloaks, because this is in his past, and the Twin Cloaks sprung up more recently. I'm gonna roll in the creature table here and see if we can think of anything. 8 armored. 73 armored, simple, simply armored. What is it? Simply armored. That, to my mind, that brings up like scales or something. A drake, a dragon. Maybe not a dragon, but something smaller. Yeah, a drake, a younger dragon maybe. Okay, yeah, I think I like that. I'm gonna say a younger dragon set up shop in a cave that was really close to this village. And the cave was basically adjacent to this road. This road ran past this cave that this young dragon had set up as his lair. I'm gonna say that I think that this young dragon saw this entire area as its property, of course. And this dragon, this younger dragon, he started causing trouble on the road. Not necessarily in the village, but he didn't like people going to and fro on that road in and out of the village. So he started either assaulting, attacking, eating, kidnapping people off of that road. And like I said, people started disappearing, and it became this whole thing. This danger of the real world, the outside world, came to the village. Mont Blanc lived through this. Maybe he had a close run-in with the dragon even, and yeah, I like that. Maybe Mont Blanc was out one day, young teen. He had a run-in with this dragon, and I think he was rescued by an adventuring group. Perhaps a group on a quest for the Veteran du Jaguar. Yeah, that sounds good. So Mont Blanc was outside of the village one day, completely unaware of the dangers of the reality of the situation that the village was facing. So he wanders off and plays in the woods, or he goes wandering off somewhere, and comes across this younger dragon, a smaller dragon that had set up its lair nearby in a cave or something. And right in the nick of time, he was facing up against this dragon, not knowing what to do. He's just a young guy. He's a kid at this point. Then out of nowhere, the dragon's about to burn him to a crisp. Maybe it's gonna do a breath attack or something. So breathe some fire on him or something, because the dragon believes that this kid has encroached upon his territory. And oh, perfect! Right then and there, right as Mont Blanc is about to be burnt to a crisp by this dragon, an adventurer steps in between him and the dragon with a giant shield. Yeah, perfect. So an adventurer steps in between Mont Blanc and the dragon just as it's about to breathe fire on him and kill him. This adventurer has this giant gleaming shield, perhaps some sort of magical shield, and the dragon lets out this giant spew of fire from its maw, and the flames just lick around the shield, not getting past, forming some kind of, almost maybe it's forming some kind of bubble around the adventurer and Mont Blanc, protecting him, of course, and the adventurer from dying this horrible fiery death. Yeah, that's great. And that adventurer that saved him had a crew of other adventurers with him, and they were sent out here to deal with this dragon. Yeah, they're on a quest to take care of this dragon threat that had been menacing this village for some time now. Great. And that's even better too, because I'm gonna say that this encounter is what inspired Mont Blanc to become a guardian and a weapon master. He saw that this sword and board hero with a giant shield, he saw how he had protected him, and he wanted to be the same way. He wanted to do the same things for other people. So he started learning martial maneuvers, tactics, and just basically how to fight. And that's a great motivation for our character too. This encounter with the dragon made him realize that there's a much bigger world out there than the confines of this village, outside of the confines of this village. So he decided early on that he wanted to set out into the world and do the same thing that this adventurer had once done for him. He wanted to be the guy that steps in between the dragon and the victim, the dragon and the kid. He wanted to be that guy that saves people with his giant shield. Yeah, that's great. I think because of his encounter with the dragon, he has some preconceived notions about dragons. True or not, we don't know yet, but he doesn't like dragons. He hates dragons. If he hears about a dragon attacking some far off place, he'll try to do something about that. Yeah, I like that. I'm gonna make it a kind of a quirk of his. It's not necessarily a system specific thing or a mechanic specific thing, but that's a character detail I really like. And with that, I think we have our character, Mont Blanc the Adventurer, a guardian weapon master. He had a run-in with a dragon at an early age, and he was saved by adventurers, and that kind of inspired him to go out and be an adventurer and protect other people and save other people that were in similar need. Yeah, that sounds good. I'm gonna go with that. Okay, that brings us to Mythic. I want to fill out some threads and characters that could potentially show up, things that might pop up during gameplay. Threads, if you're not familiar with Mythic, really quickly, threads are potential plots that could randomly pop up at any point during the adventure. Characters are of course characters, but not just necessarily people. They can be organizations, nations, monsters, different types of things that can pop up in the adventure as well. Thinking back on the world we've created, I think one of our threads should have something to do with the corruption happening in this kingdom. So I'm gonna put that down. Corruption in the kingdom. Corruption in the kingdom, that's gonna be one of our threads. Next, I think one of our threads, the next thread I think that makes sense is, I think that Mont Blanc never got to actually meet the person that saved him from the dragon, that adventurer with the shield. So I think maybe something more minor, but I think that is definitely a thread. Mont Blanc wants to find the guy that saved him from the dragon all those years ago. I'm gonna say that maybe that happened when he was around 12, and he's 22-ish now, so about a decade ago. Another thing I want to do is the threads that we generated early on in world creation, I want to make those threads as well. So we have our rogue magic tech scientist. I'm gonna say that there's been, and since he's in the shadows still, kind of plotting, I'm gonna say that there's been rumors going around of, so this rogue magic tech scientist, he wants to punish adventurers for their innocence, for their hopefulness, for their naive attitudes. I'm gonna say that there's been, oh, this is good. I'm gonna say that adventuring groups have gone missing. Yeah, I like that. So some adventuring groups have gone missing, and behind the scenes it's due to the work of this rogue magitech scientist, but of course our character doesn't know that, but I'm going to put that as a thread. And that brings us to the second threat that we rolled up, and that was the impending illegality of adventuring. I think that's a pretty a big threat and a thread to put down on our list. We end up with 4 threads. We have missing adventurers due to the rogue scientist, somehow related to the rogue scientist. We have the impending implementation of a policy in the Kingdom of Eprenay that makes adventuring or questing illegal. We have the ongoing rise of corruption within the nobles and ministers of the Kingdom of Eprenay. And then finally we have Montblanc's more personal kind of quest to find the adventurer that saved him from the dragon about a decade ago. Next up, we have the characters list. So we come up with a list of important NPCs that could potentially pop up in our story. Right off the bat, I'm going to say that the dragon from his encounter earlier in his youth, he's still around. He wasn't defeated, he was just shooed away from his lair. So I'm going to say dragon. Or young dragon, I guess. Let's give him a color. I like that, the whole chromatic, the idea of chromatic dragons and metallic dragons. So I'm going to say this was just a kind of a bog standard red dragon. A young red dragon. Next, I think that the adventurer that saved him is a pretty big character that could pop up. So I'm gonna go ahead and add him too. We don't have a name or anything, and until he pops up, I'm not gonna generate anything for him yet. So potentially he might pop up, but potentially not. So we'll see. I'm just gonna put down adventurer that saved him. Then I'm gonna add the organizations that we generated in world creation to the list as characters as well, because they certainly could be relevant. So first of all, we have the Kingdom of Eprenay. Next, we have the Twin Cloaks, the bandit group. And then last but not least, we have the organization Les Vétérans du Jaguar. I think adding the threats as characters could work as well. So I'm going to put down the rogue scientist. And whoever is pushing the policy to make adventuring illegal, we don't know who that is yet, so I'm just going to put person pushing the policy. I think that's a good amount of characters to start out with. We have a lot, actually. We have the young red dragon from his encounter. We have the young red dragon from his encounter a decade ago. We have the adventurer that saved him from said encounter. We have the Kingdom of Eprenay, the Twin Cloaks bandit group, the Veterans du Jaguar, Les Vétérans du Jaguar, an adventuring guild that supports adventurers. We have the rogue Magitech scientist, and then we have the person pushing this policy to make adventuring illegal in the kingdom. That's a really good list of starting characters, actually. I'm excited to see where this goes. Fabula Ultima comes with a chart or a table for generating some starting scenarios, what it dubs as prologues. I'm going to go ahead and roll on the table that corresponds to the group type that I chose, Guardians, and that's going to be my starting scenario, and I'm going to add that as a thread as well. So we got a 4. That gives us, you are guests of a longtime wealthy friend of the Chosen One, i.e. Montblanc. When suspicious tales about your host reach your ears, who can be trusted? So we ask ourselves, who is this friend, and what do the rumors say about them? Who gave you this information? What makes it at least partially believable? I want to flesh out some more details about this starting scenario. We rolled 4 on the Guardians table, which is we are guests of a longtime wealthy friend of Montblanc, our character. When suspicious tales about our host reach our ears. So I want to, first of all, I want to flesh out who this person is. A longtime wealthy friend of Montblanc, the character, our character. So when it says guests, I'm thinking some sort of like dinner invitation. I'm thinking that this longtime wealthy friend invited Mont Blanc over for dinner, and again, thinking kind of high fantasy French aristocracy. This guy has a manor in the kingdom. I'm thinking this guy has some sort of actually no, I'm not gonna change it. I'm not gonna change it drastically, but I'm gonna say he has a villa out in the countryside. Yeah, this is a wealthy aristocrat. He has a villa out in the countryside, and he's invited Mont Blanc along to just kind of relax and have a decent time. They'll be out there for a couple days. They'll have dinner. They'll enjoy the sights, etc. So yeah, this wealthy aristocrat friend of Mont Blanc's has invited him out to his private villa out in the countryside. So, suspicious tales about our host reach our ears about our longtime friend here. Because he's an aristocrat, it really pushes me in the direction of the corruption and the policy thread we have about making adventuring illegal, questing illegal. So I think it has something to do with that. I think that this let's just go ahead and start using Mythic. Well, first of all, let's get a name. I think I like that more. Let's get a name for this friend. Once again, I'm going to go over to the French name generator. Roll a d6 for male, female. Male. Click a few times to generate some names, and let's see. Abeline Grandi. I like that. Abeline Grandi. Yeah, that's a good name. Okay, so our longtime friend of Mont Blanc's, Abeline Grandi, he has invited Mont Blanc to his villa out in the countryside. So basically relax, have dinner, have a good time. Let's get some details for Abeline. Let's get some details for Abeline. I'm gonna roll on personality. See what kind of personality he has. 76, quirky, okay. 32, quirky but determined. Okay, I like that. Abeline is quirky but determined. He's got peculiar interests, but nothing really deters him from pursuing those interests. Not even social taboos or gossip or what have you. Let's go ahead and roll for his appearance. 90. Stylish. All right, I like it. Stylish. 18. Stylish and clean. All right. He's always got the latest fashion on and impeccably presented. That's great. Okay, this is a new table for me. I haven't rolled on this before. Traits and flaws. I do want him to have some sort of flaw, so I'm going to roll on that. 35. Flawless. That's kind of a weird for a flaw. Flawless attract. Flawless attraction. Flawless attraction. I'm going to say that he's popular with the opposite gender. He's a ladies' man, basically, and he gets in trouble for that often. And finally, motivations. I'm gonna see what we can get from rolling on motivations. So 48 information, 74 information peace. Okay, information peace, peaceful information, peaceful information. What comes to my mind first would be dissemination of information peacefully. He wants information to be freely available. Maybe he's anti-corruption. Okay, maybe that's why Mont Blanc is here. That's perfect. Yeah, perfect. That's ideal. Abeline invited Mont Blanc to his villa in the countryside to discuss the corruption in the country. He wants information to be more freely available. Information peace. Yeah, perfect. So Abilene has invited Mont Blanc over to his estate, his villa. Abilene, Mont Blanc's longtime friend and aristocrat noble of the kingdom of Eprenay, has invited Mont Blanc to his villa out in the countryside to discuss the situation in the kingdom, the ongoing rise of corruption among the nobility and the ministers. He, of course, invited him out to his villa in the countryside because it's more private. It's a more private setting. There is, of course, all the servants and peasants and what have you, staff and guard, of course, that Abilene would have with him. But it's not in the city. It's in a more private setting. So yeah, that's a perfect starting scenario. Abilene has invited Mont Blanc to his villa to talk about corruption. And that right there is our starting scene.
Thank you so much for joining me. Up to this point, we've built our character and we've kind of fleshed out the world and some of its properties, inhabitants, and things that hopefully we get to see when we actually start to play, which will indeed be soon. The next episode is going to be we'll kick things off proper and get the story rolling and see where Mont Blanc goes. Hopefully he can achieve some of his goals, some of his aspirations, meet this adventurer that saved him when he was a kid. But, well, we won't find out until we play, so join me next time.